Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Ordinary Critics. Today we will be reviewing Vice.
Vice!
Ow,
I'm sorry.
I wasn't expecting that.
That was a vice grip. Vice!
Hello everyone, I am Isaac.
And I'm Carlos, and we're just two ordinary guys reviewing extraordinary movies.
It is Oscar season and we are in full force. We just got out of...
Oscar
We just got out of Vice. And let me tell y'all.
It's hard to get through. Oh my god, it's somber.
It is not a feel-good movie.
It is not. I don't think there's a hero in this movie either.
No, a lot of the reports are calling Christian Bale's portrayal of Dick Cheney an anti-hero, which I think is fairly accurate.
Yeah, except you're never cheering for him, ever.
Ever.
Yeah, it's more on the lines of House of Cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a very good comparison.
Yeah.
Very good comparison. So, for a prelude, that's all we got today. So, there will be spoilers a little bit, but a lot of it's based on, fact and historical fiction or whatever categories. So, you probably already know a lot of this stuff, but it does take a dive.
If you want to know what it's about, a quick plot, it's basically, without any spoilers, it's the rise to power of Dick Cheney from the Nixon era up to the Bush era when he became vice president.
And he's been deemed one of, I think, the most powerful vice president that we've ever had.
And highly controversial because of all his policies and stuff that he did.
Right, and how much power he actually gained as vice president.
Exactly. For some of us, it's actually news and refreshing just because I was a kid when all of this was happening. So some of it looks familiar, but the politics and intricacies behind it kind of eluded me at the time.
Right, and we actually understand kind of what's happening now.
Yes.
It was
very eye-opening.
So, if you haven't gone and checked out the movie, go check it out. And here we go. In 3, 2, 1. So yes, we are going to start off with the plot. And like we said, it is the rise of power of Dick Cheney into the vice presidency. And really, that's all you need to know about the plot.
Yeah, something that people are saying about the movie is that it diverts from the character's opinion, so it's mostly fact-based, as in this happened, this happened, this happened. There's never motives behind Dick Cheney's actions, or they stray from that. Usually they just talk and they come to a conclusion, but they don't say why, per se, they're doing it.
They show the action, but not the reasons behind the action.
Yes.
Which, for a society that is very biased one way or the other, it was very interesting how they pulled it off.
Yeah.
There was very little bias. So it was interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. There are some, again, it's a movie, so there are some imagined parts to put, 2 and 2 together, but the big... the heavy hitters, those are facts.
Absolutely. So just keep that in mind while you're watching the movie.
Yes, it's hard to watch and hard to get through because it is like taking a history lesson, and that's not usually why we go to the movies.
Right, we go to the movie to escape everything, and this is just like, hey, remember when that happened in real life?
Oh yeah, everything sucks.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So next up we have the cast, and this cast star-studded. And leading off with Christian Bale. Just
Dick Cheney.
The transformation that he took to get...
Yeah, I think I read he gained 45 pounds or
something like that. And just
eating pies.
All of the makeup and the prosthetics. They're actually nominated for Best Makeup. And Christian Bale's nominated for Best Lead Actor. Sam Rockwell is nominated for Best
Supporting Actor. And Amy Adams is nominated for a Best Supporting Actress.
As Lynn Cheney.
Yes.
And then who else we got? We got Steve Carell is in there as Donald Rumsfeld. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing that this group of people, they're all coming, basically Christian Bale, Steve Carell, and Adam McKay, the director, they're all coming back together basically from The Big Short, because if you remember correctly, The Big Short is also starring Christian Bale, Steve Carell, and directing Adam McKay. To do like another heavy hitter like this, another Best Picture nominee.
We'll talk about this a little more. I just want to say it now so I don't forget. We'll talk about it in cinematography. But it is also stylized a little bit like The Big Short. So just keep that in mind.
Yes.
But this cast, it's
amazing.
They're good, y'all. Yeah. They are good.
They really draw you in with their portrayals of these people. And again, this is a little beyond me. I don't know these people as well, but I've been reading and seeing that they actually captured the essence of these characters and the mannerisms and everything. Apparently, Amy Adams stayed in character the whole time during all of filming. Which apparently was the first for her too. So
it's a lot.
Yeah. So everyone went all in on this movie.
Right, and I appreciate, as an actor, I appreciate that. Like, they're just trying to get it right. They're trying to get it right, and
they did.
Yeah, and they did. They did. Yeah, they did. Next up, we have continuity immersion. So this one is interesting because it's historical. I've been hearing it as like an uneven biopic or like borderline satire at some moments, which is true. But from a continuity standpoint, an immersion standpoint, yes, I was in it. I was anxious because, again, I was also growing up during this time period that all this stuff was happening. And, a lot of the events around 9/11 are a major focus in this. And I was in 4th grade when 9/11 happened. So, right, so it's just like we didn't really know what was going on. So looking back on that was interesting to be like, oh.
So that was happening while I was playing with toys. Great.
Right. Great. But immersion-wise, it wasn't like I'm so in this world because it was based on facts. But continuity-wise, they did bounce back and forth a little bit. The way that they introduced all of the characters and where they were, they put them on like a board game type of thing.
Yes.
Which helped out a lot keeping track of everybody because, a White House staff is...
Yeah, the placement of everybody is very important, what they do. Yeah.
So that helped a lot.
Yeah, and it's also, immersion-wise, it's kind of hard to stay with the movie because, like I said, it's a history. It's a biopic, more or less. It's hard to, stay with it, and the movie does a very good job in waking you up every so often. Yeah. It does the whole Big Short thing where they break everything down to a language that you can easily understand because most of this language is very vague, very biased. Very ambiguous. So,
jargon.
Yeah, it's jargon. So you really don't quite follow it as much. Imagine if you saw The Big Short, CDOs and how they explain it to you. They do the same thing with unitary
executive power.
Executive power, like theory, and they how the everything the president does is lawful, hence.
Whatever he does, he can't break the law, or something like that.
Something along those lines.
But they take these jargon words and they take these words that, if you're in politics, you know exactly what they mean. But they break them down to definitions that ordinary people can understand.
Or ordinary critics.
Which I really appreciated as an audience member, to be like, okay, cool, you're going to say this a bunch of times, so thank you for spelling it out.
Yeah, thanks. We can follow
and not
now.
Just being lost the entire time.
Yes.
So next up we have the soundtrack.
Nothing spectacular about it, honestly.
Nothing crazy. They do... the ending credits were interesting. They play
I Like to Live in America.
America from
West Side
Story. With pictures of fly fishing,
hooks, like baits and hooks.
But also they're symbolizing they're in the shape of a bald eagle and the White House and bullets and rockets and it was very, very, the juxtaposition that they used with it. I think I used juxtaposition in our last review too.
Yeah.
Word of the week, everybody. The juxtaposition.
Can you even say it now?
No. I've said it too many times.
Can we put it here? Juxtaposition.
Between those images and that song, we were watching it just what is... I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah,
I don't feel comfortable.
I have to say, Adam McKay is very, very clever in his writing, the way he uses symbolism on screen, and the way he like takes you out or makes explosions happen to like symbolize something else that it's happening. So it is very clever and visually pleasing. Mm-hmm. Although sometimes like that song, it kind of like makes you cringe a little bit. Like, oh, I know what you're trying to say. I don't like it.
I don't like this. So they did a good job like that, but otherwise it was just very.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the soundtrack. The very end credits.
Right. Yeah. Finally, we have cinematography. It was shot very, very well.
It's great. Like something interesting that they do is they capture out the era. By how old the TV, the resolution of the screen, from which you're seeing whatever's happening.
Yes, they bring it back to the early 2000s, and so it's not high def. It's a very big contrast between watching the movie and then watching this screen on the movie. They did a nice parallel and difference with that.
Yeah,
and like two different things.
Yeah, and like I said, he's very clever, so it's very visually pleasing when you see things happening, explosions, or he's making a contrast, and you see some kind of like symbolic something on the screen. You're like, oh, or there's a freeze capturing the exact face of not morally correct happiness that somebody has, and you're like, oh, that's.
Yeah. But it was good. We liked it. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed ourselves. It was a little bit. It was tough to get through. It's like it's basically like taking a political science class.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
Which I know that's what we all want to do.
Of course, right?
Free time.
That's what I do every Friday night.
Friday night.
Go to party.
Science.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So there's our review. Now it's time for the report card. We take each of those 5 categories and each give them a score of 10 for a total of out of 100. Give it a letter grade, and here we go. Plot, I give it an 8.
I give it a 9.
Cast, give it a 9.
I give it a 9.
Continuity and immersion, an 8.
I give it an 8 too.
Soundtrack, I give it a 7.
I give it an 8.
Cinematography, I give it an 8.
I give it a 9. Good
This
job.
brings our total to 83.
Yeah, 83.
That is a B. Yeah, I think this movie, for people our age who kind of didn't really understand what was going on during that time period in a political sense and now have a better grasp on the world and are kind of leading this new movement of change, it's very important for us to watch this and to just kind of be like, oh, that's why this is all messed up.
Yeah, it's also important to be aware, like a lot of the we're finding a lot of parallels because a lot of the political strategies used then are also used now.
And they're being exploited.
So
hey. Anyway.
So no, it's important for us to watch, just like it's important to watch The Big Short and understand it. It's actually I like what Adam McKay is doing in trying to like educate the population, like using movies like feature films as a way to educate the population, but making it doing it in an entertaining way while breaking everything down in a way that the regular viewer can understand.
Right.
So,
I like it a lot.
Yeah, so I actually like that, and I hope he keeps making more movies that way.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. As we said earlier, it is Oscar season, and we've actually reviewed more Oscar like best feature film nominees than we thought. So up here, there's going to be a card. I don't know what the movie's going to be, but it's going to be one of the Oscar nominations.
Maybe A Star is Born?
Probably A Star is Born, so check that one out. And thank you so much for watching. If you leave us a comment, give us a like, hit the subscribe button.
Did you see it? Let us know what you thought.
And until next time, just remember
to stay ordinary.